Now, a civil society organization, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, sent an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari urging him to use his good office and leadership position to urgently refer the allegations of corruption against the Secretary to the government of the Federation, the SGF, Babachir David Lawal, to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the FCC, and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the ICPC, for further investigation, and if there is relevant and sufficient admissible evidence for him to face prosecution. Since the Senate panel released its interim report, controversy continued to trail the matter, and a big question on the anti-corruption war of the Buhari government has been raised. Let's get perspectives to the matter now. Mr. Akin Oshotokun, a former presidential aide, joins us now. He knows so well how it operates there in the villa. Mr. Oshotokun, many thanks for coming on the program. When this kind of situation, the corridors of power, perhaps in the first office of the land, the office of the president, and we see this kind of allegations come, for example, in other climes, you have worked in the presidency before. Naturally, what do you make of these, and what do you think the president should have done in this regard, or the SGF? What decision do you think they should have taken?
Well, you know, what we have in Nigeria are like reinforcing negativities. We have one layer to reinforce another and another. Corruption in the presidency, to be quite frankly, in Nigeria is almost inevitable.
Really?
And it acts back to what we have been talking about. The structure of the constitutional structure of the country. It gives so much unaccountable power to the office of the president. To the extent that people around him can use that power without his knowledge. It's so vast and so consequential that, you know. So it acts back to the fundamental problem of the country itself. That center is a problem. Until you do something about it, until it is, you know, broken down and, you know, usher into really what we now call true federalism, it's almost inevitable that you have that kind of thing there. Look, there are many things, constitutional provisions or whatever you call them, ecological funds, this fund, that the president does with you, can use it whimsically, you know. So it is there. Secondly, the next layer, with specific regards to this government, is that, look, the appointments that were made, almost everybody in the country was of the same opinion that they were very lopsided. There was an element of nepotism about it. Now, the reason is, you ask yourself, what do you expect them to go and do there? If the man is going to a particular job, an appointment to work, why should you worry whether it's your king? Why should you be particular about certain persons going there? So you have already implied corruption into it.
I mean, you said something, just a moment, you said something that is very intriguing. You said corruption in the presidency, as is constituted in Nigeria, is almost inevitable.
Yes,
a lot of people will be aghast about that.
Because of the centralization of power, I've told you, and unaccountable nature of those powers. Look,
so it's true then. It's true then that when people say that there was government in government.
Listen, when the former CBN governor, who is the Emir of Kano now, nobody knew that the CBN governor had the kind of power that he had. To the extent that he could, on his own, decide to dispense 300 billion naira. That's fact. So you find out all these things all over the place until you look at that structure and break it down to what it's supposed to be. What we have now is not is not very amenable to accountability and transparency. But you know, you now reinforce that with nepotism. You are pointing, the moment you are implying favoritism, bias, or something to it. Look, this question you ask yourself is this: if the man who is there is going to work, just work, why should I bother? Why should I be particular? Why should I want my brother? Why should I want somebody from my tribe or somebody to go there?
Mr. Oshotokun, do you see that there is a dent on the anti-corruption war of the Buhari government with this incident?
When you say anti-corruption war, listen up, I repeat it again. It's almost inevitable. It will be a question of degree. Right? The presidency we have today is so amenable to corruption that maybe the reason why people are surprised was that the reputation of Buhari himself before he became president. Maybe that's why people are, it seems such a big deal now. You know that, well, even given his strength of character, but by the way, you know also that he is distracted by so many things, including his health. So people take advantage of this kind of loopholes. But the fundamental reason really is the centralization of power.
All right. With the issue on the ground, Roller Vision, a company linked to Mr. Babachi Lawa, the SGF, and the issue of the fact that there are some clashes, political clashes, of course, that we've seen, that the Senate president had said that there was a government in the government of President Buhari. Are you surprised that this is happening? Or do you see this as a political gimmick or power game?
No, I don't see. You don't need to go looking for it. It's all there. It's all in the public view, in the glare. The worrisome thing about it is that it's forming a pattern. You know, before the SGF, there were the cases of the Chief of Army Staff and the Minister of Interior. Now, I'm not convicting those people. I don't know of a fact whether they have done it or not. But for you to just ignore it like that, or as if nothing has happened, you know, these are people, documents were presented. I've been a public servant. Several people have been the Chief of Army said what bought properties in Dubai with personal savings. Now look, as I said, it's possible at the end of the day that they might, but look, Nigeria does not owe them their jobs. It's collateral damage. As a public servant, the president should be willing to dispense with anything that reeks of corruption.
So if you were the president, Mr. Oshuntoku, what would you do?
Well, I will give you an instance of when I was there and what the president did. And that was Obasanjo. Mrs. Oshoma was Minister of Housing when they were selling the public houses and privatization of those houses. There was a news report that was getting controversial about some members of the president, Obasanjo's family or in-laws, buying those properties. Within days, Obasanjo fired the woman. It didn't wait. It wasn't a question of investigation. Look, the idea is this: signals matter a lot, and individual and private interests should never be elevated over the public one. The president, Nigeria does not owe anybody his job. The president of Nigeria does not owe the Chief of Army Staff his job, does not owe the minister his job, does not owe, listen, does not owe GM his job. If at the end of the day they were proven innocent, too bad, that is collateral damage. It signals that you said matter a lot. I'm not going to be here to pronounce judgments on anybody. But the case that you see in the public is bad enough. You don't need those kind of
people will say that these people, according to the Nigerian law, in some other crimes, you are guilty until you are proven innocent. Well, in Nigeria, you are innocent until proven guilty, and that's what our law tilts to. A lot of people will say Mr. Babachi Lawa was not given
since we are talking about
a fair hearing.
We are talking about other crimes. Other crimes, those individuals will have resigned of their own volition.
Even when,
it's in Nigeria that
when they are not even given fair hearing.
What is fair hearing?
To allow that demand in question.
Listen. Look, the Guardian editorial board. I mean, show some respect. Look, these are not things that trivial. They wrote an editorial on it. Go and read the editorial. To see what they put together, the logic, the facts and everything, and the conclusion they come to, it's faultless.
And you have read for the benefit of our viewers who have not read that.
He should resign. If he doesn't want to resign, then the president should get him out. As a matter of fact, if you think that you want to be fair to him, okay, tell him why this investigation is going on. You steps aside. You can be called back to your position if at the end of the day it is proven that you have not done anything wrong. But for people that are facing this kind of allegations, where they can even tamper with the evidences, for them to remain there and you leave them and as if nothing has happened,
Does he make a joke of the President Buhari's anti-corruption war?
Well, you said it.
I'm asking, does he make it? It's a question. No, I'm asking, does he make a joke of it?
Well, to a large extent, he does. And but you see, the tragedy
what if this man is found not guilty of all these allegations?
Well, remember what
is it fair on him?
Remember what I said, right? If you want to do that, step aside. If you are not found guilty, you will recall back to your position. That is fair enough. Does it worry you?
Does it worry you that even the Senate panel will come forward with an interim report?
Well,
not a final report.
Anybody who likes, if your own objective or your aspiration is the welfare of Nigeria, the goodness of this report of Nigeria, you should look at that report. Forget about the name you are calling it, the qualifications. Read it. What is there? What is the substance there? That is what should matter to us. Not whether it is interim or whatever.
The man said those claims are bladderdash. I mean, they don't hold water.
What claims are bladderdash?
The claims that he has resigned of this position.
Well, you know, see, look, it's a tragedy in the first place that this is what we are discussing with all the problems this country has. We are discussing an individual. Consuming so much public attention in a situation in which a country.
What's your take of Mr. Magu's representation for confirmation as the EFCC chairman?
Well, look, you see, the more important thing, the worrying thing about that is not even that. It is that you have a presidency that is dysfunctional. It was the DG of SSS that provided a report to the National Assembly, on which basis Magu was not confirmed. Now the SSS works for the president. So the president who has appointed somebody, your own people, you are ignorant of what your own appointee should have made you known. How is it possible that you have an SSS giving a report? The SSS reports to the president.
Do you think the Senate should confirm Mr. Magu?
That's not for me to decide. On the basis of evidence before them, they should feel free. But what I'm telling you is that, look, what is more important than all this appointment, our attention is too much consumed by all this individual. The important thing is look at what is happening. And this is one of the reasons that makes governance so terrible in this country. If two officers working for the SSS reports to the president, who is the chief security officer of the country, through the NSA, and the president was not aware that the man he was sending for confirmation had this bad report on. What does that say of governance?
Mr. Akin Oshuntokun, a former presidential aide, been giving us benefits of what the presidency is framed and what it looks like in the light of the allegations against the secretary to the government of the Federation, Mr. Babachi Lawa. Many thanks, Mr. Akin Oshuntokun, for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
Always a pleasure having you. Many thanks for being part of the program, everyone. And that's our show tonight. Many thanks for being part of it. On behalf of the team, I'm sure Bye for now.